Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades. And today we're going to look at a whole bunch of news items. We're going to talk about something that most won't see coming. What is that, and how can we be prepared for that? But before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people. It does help support the channel. And if you're a first-time watcher, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and you'll get the daily updates. Let's first of all jump into the news, and there is a lot of news here. First of all, we have the president is set to sign an executive order that would allow 401k retirement plans to invest in crypto. Now, this opens the door to $9 trillion worth of capital. However, just remember that the Magnificent Seven stocks, some of the largest companies in the world, had an opportunity to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet, such as Microsoft and Amazon and Meta, and they all declined. So just saying that opens the door to it doesn't mean that this is something that will happen or will happen straight away, but it's a great step in the right direction, and it's a positive thing for the crypto market, just like the three bills that were passed yesterday positive for the crypto market. Now, of course, we have this Bitcoin whale. We had 80,000 Bitcoin sold all their $9.6 billion after buying it for $54,000 14 years ago, held for so long, and then finally cashed in. I wonder why they decided to cash it in now, okay, of course, and because are we close to the end? Is this something, a warning sign? We're going to look at that at the moment. And of course, this brings us to what we'll talk about a little bit in a moment, is the 500-day strategy. Now, if you haven't heard of the 500-day strategy, it's basically that you buy Bitcoin 500 days before the halving, you hold and essentially do absolutely nothing, and then you sell it 5 days after the halving, and then you repeat. And you can see how well this strategy actually works. You buy it 500 days before the halving, there's the halving, and then you sell it 500 days after, you buy, there's the halving, you sell it 500 days after, and so on. Now, if you want to know where this 500th day is, it sits on September the 1st, which is coming up very, very soon, only in about 6 weeks' time. And so it's important to acknowledge and understand that history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. And this will come in also with some great analysis from Rex Capital, talking about the three different cycles previous, 2013, after Bitcoin hit price discovery and Bitcoin is in current price discovery. There was 6 weeks of upside before a big correction. 2017, 7 weeks. 2021, 6 weeks. And here we are here. Bitcoin rallied 7 weeks into price discovery, and then there was a correction. And so this is each time Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high, and now we're in the midst of week number 2. Well, if we get to week 6 or 7, guess where that brings us? Right bang around about the September the 1st of 2025 here. And so I think it's worth being prepared for the different scenarios that could possibly play out. Now, we go over to the charts over here for Bitcoin. We are in the midst of a whopping inverse head and shoulders play that would take us up to $145,000. There is a key level at 132,000. Interesting enough, when the cycle first started and in the early days of streaming on YouTube, etc., and cheat sheets, 120,000 was my target for the cycle for Bitcoin, and we've hit that, and we're right under it by about $1,000 there. Now, so just because we have a technical target doesn't necessarily mean that we'll get exactly to that number. It's just important to understand that we don't blindly just trade based thinking that it's guaranteed to get to 145,000. And so there's a couple of theories that I want to explore. Theory number one is, of course, that Bitcoin is going to have a super cycle and isn't going to have the 4-year cycle will now be essentially less. So there was always going to be the halving. I think there's always going to be the 4-year cycle, but we won't have a typical bear market for Bitcoin. There might be a bit of a pullback like we saw here from around 109,000 down to 74, like we saw even with the stock market. So that it'll trade in rhythm more with the stock market. So that's one theory, and it's hard to disagree with that, with all the institutional money and the bullishness that is going on there, that possibly Bitcoin won't see big drawdowns and won't have a huge bear market, and may only correct 20 or 30% from now on, or maybe 50%, which would be well below what it's previously corrected for. Okay, and so that's something that to be said. Now, so that's possibly something that could happen. Now, will altcoins also follow the same path and not have the usual bear markets? And that's something that's possible. I don't think that would be true of all altcoins. There's just too many, 10 million altcoins and counting as they keep growing. And so what we have is a situation where, okay, maybe some altcoins, or the strong altcoins, or the altcoins that have ETFs, maybe they are the ones that are the big winners in this cycle. And so that's really scenario number one. Scenario number two is where Bitcoin has a super cycle, so to speak, but altcoins don't. And this will be, I think, the biggest danger if scenario number two plays out, is that people will be looking for Bitcoin top signals and they just won't come, because Bitcoin won't top. It'll just keep going like the S&P 500, and altcoins will start to capitulate and people will be caught off guard by that. And then altcoins will go into the usual bear market. Maybe there'll be the odd altcoin that will show a little bit more strength. However, that's scenario number two here. So, and then of course, scenario number three is that things play out as normal and Bitcoin has normal bear market, probably not as deep, because every time there is a bear market, Bitcoin drops less than previously, and that we have a usual 1-year downtrend and altcoins go 90%, 90% plus down, or never recover. And of course, Bitcoin has some kind of a drop, maybe a 50% drop or a 40% drop of some kind there. So I want you to tell me what you think. Is it going to be option A, where both Bitcoin and some altcoins, I'm not going to say all altcoins, there's just too many, 10 million, but I would say maybe, the top 100 or the top 50 go into a super cycle? Option number two is that Bitcoin continues to trade with the stock market and stays in a bull market and just corrects as the stock market corrects, but altcoins go into a bear market. And option number three is that both Bitcoin and altcoins go into the bear market as usual. I want to know what you think and why. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in regards to that, okay? And I think the key thing for Bitcoin, let me just give you a little bit of TA there, is the 9 EMA on the daily, currently sitting at 117,500. We do have the tribal trades indicator give a bit of a bearish reversal signal. So we did see a little bit of downside there, and it did come and give support on the 9 EMA already. So this could have played out already. Sometimes these only play out for a couple of days. Usually I see the bearish or bullish reversal signals on the daily time frame. They generally run about anywhere between about 3 to 10 days, 3 being the shortest time and 10 usually being about the longest time. So at the moment we're about 4 days in, and that might have played out. We might now flip and have a bullish reversal pattern. However, if this continues, if this is a little bit of a fake out here, it came down, fake out a little bit and then drop, this area here, this 9 EMA on the daily is crucial. We see what happens when we're above the 9 EMA, it's bullish. As soon as we go below the 9 EMA, this begins to curl and push to the downside, and we don't want that crossing the 20 EMA. When that happens, we do get some significant drawdowns to the downside there. We do have a bull flag target here at 125,000 that we haven't yet reached. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out, or we get if that retraces and we get an invalidation of that. If we look at the total altcoin market here, we do see some really positive things happening here. And again, I'll say it's very easy. The warning, most won't see this coming, but I'll see this coming because I've got the indicator that has given me the insight constantly throughout this run. This was the time to get out of altcoins here in December. The tribal trades indicator gave it. This was the time to get back in initially into altcoins in April, and then get back out again right at the end of May, and then get back in again on the 23rd of June. And now we don't have any reversal. And so my strategy is going to be simply, I'll trade the trend. The trend is my friend until the end, and then starts a new trend. And if I do get a reversal signal here on the weekly time frame for the altcoin market, that will be my sign to get out. Now, that doesn't mean that the bull run is over and we're going into a bear market, but it could quite possibly. So it's a win-win situation for me, very simply. If this turns over and we have a bearish reversal and we get the bearish reversal signal, I will get out of altcoins. And then if we go down into a bear market, I'm good. If we come down a little bit and we get another bullish reversal signal, I'll get back in. I'm good either way. One thing I am not going to be doing is left without a chair when the music stops. I'm not going to get caught bag holding all the way down to the bottom of the bear market, watching my portfolio balance shrink, okay, because I will be in cash. And the beauty thing is as well, that even if we do, let's just say we turn over today and we get that red signal today. It wouldn't come today, but it would take a few days. You see, we've still got great momentum on the momentum indicators here, that if this was to turn over, then I'm out in profit. Okay, and so it can also be a great stop loss to get you out in profit and to make sure you lock in those profits for that. So that's how I'm playing this strategy. And just like the Solana play that I gave, this is still looking okay. Now remember, I gave this play in the Tribal Trades Discord. You can see here back on the 8th of July, Solana inverse head and shoulders daily, and the breakout target was 188, looking for entry on the break and the hold of the 50-day moving average at $154. We got that exactly. There's the breakout literally on the day, and that play might have played out. It got up to $184. Did it get to 188? No, it didn't. However, it's always subjective as to where these targets are, where the neckline is broken. If I put the neckline broken here, then that target is about 186. And if I put the target here, it makes it 185, which is pretty much what we've come up to. And isn't it interesting? Here's that level over here from all the way back in May of this year, where we could not get above that 184. And now we've got the situation where we can't get above that 184 there. So I know many in the Discord have shared how they're closing positions or taking profit, or at least are looking to make sure they lock in those gains and have stop losses there for that. So that may have played out there, and I think it's always a good opportunity to either close those positions or take profits, or to set a stop loss as to make sure that if it goes below a certain level, to stop out of that play. Alrighty, well, if you do want to, of course, join the Tribal Trades Discord, the Discord is closed at the moment, but there is a waiting list that you can get on, and people have been signing up for the wait list because we will open it again in the future. It was open for June and the first week of July. We will open again. I will let people know when that I plan to open that again. However, if you're on the wait list, you're going to be the first ones to be able to access. And of course, if somebody doesn't renew their subscription for whatever reason, then I do move people from the wait list into Discord, and you can get early access to the Tribal Trades Discord. And that gives you the Tribal Trades indicator. Comes with the Discord. It's a paid indicator, but it comes as part of the Discord membership, as does all these wonderful channels that we have here. All right, well, that's all we have time for. And of course, until the next episode, or until I see you on the Discord, happy trading.